Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Ajoe21love, here with your sports review topics for this week, edition number 99. Oh boy, was it an eventful couple of days, specifically Sunday, as both Game 7s came to a close, wrapping up the semifinals for the NBA playoffs, and both teams, both representatives of the East and the West last year, or this past finals, was eliminated. The Milwaukee Bucks lost in Game 7 to the Celtics. And Game 7, the Phoenix Suns lost. And both teams lost in kind of putrid fashion. And I'll have more of that in a bit. And the NFL schedule was released. 2022 NFL regular schedule released on Thursday. I'll be going over highlighting the international games as well as my key matchups, I think, of the season. Go over all that and a little more in a bit on the podcast. But thank you for joining me. If you're new to the podcast and you want to see more sports review topics, click that subscription. It'll only take 2 seconds, but find my videos if you want to hear my in-depth and honest thoughts on sports topics covered throughout the week, whether it's football, basketball, some baseball, a little hockey here and there, some MMA, but a little bit of everything. You can find those on the homepage. But thank you all. And let's get into it. Oh boy. That was some semifinals for the NBA playoffs. It's now down to 4. Down to 4 teams. The Miami Heat, the 1 seed Miami Heat in the East. The 2 seed Boston Celtics. They will start their 7-game series, best of 7, on Tuesday. So that'll be a very fun series. And a bit of a surprise, more of a surprise in the East. The Golden State Warriors will face off against the Dallas Mavericks in the conference finals in the West. I'll go over all teams. First, before I get into, I'll start with the 2 teams that clinch beforehand, before Sunday. The Miami Heat, I'll start off with. Miami Heat they're an interesting story. They're interesting. They are, you could arguably say they've been one of the most disrespected teams or overlooked teams throughout the NBA playoffs, which is surprising for a 1 seed, but they have been relatively consistent. They beat the Hawks in 5 to in the quarterfinals. Then they beat a up and down Philadelphia 76ers team in 6. Honestly, they should have swept the Atlanta Hawks, but they didn't. They made Trae Young look nothing like Trae Young. Made him look pedestrian. They had some adversity versus the 76ers when Embiid came back, but it was up and down from there. Now they face the Boston Celtics. And it's an interesting factor because 2 years ago, they were in the bubble facing the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they took that series ahead to obviously the finals with the Lakers, and then there was there. But it's great to see because for all the flack, and I get it, it was an anomaly, but for the flack that some teams have gotten for being relatively bubble teams, the Miami Heat have stood still and proved that appearance in the NBA Finals, it was not really a fluke. And they will have their chance to redeem themselves if they can get past the very game Boston Celtics. But I mean, the Heat are a deep team. They are a very good defense team. Jimmy Butler's been on fire pretty much all throughout the playoffs. Kyle Lowry, have to see about his status, but I mean, you got Duncan Robinson off the bench. You got Max Strus coming along great. Victor Oladipo has done well off the bench and sometimes starter when he needs to. You got Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo. I mean, they are a deep team, and it's going to be interesting down the stretch. Now, the Golden State Warriors, I don't think it was a surprise. They are, I would say, the least surprising considering their road to get to the finals. They got here for a reason. I mean, we know what the Warriors, former dynasty, now they obviously injuries since their last title has kept them in check for the last couple of years, but now that Steph is healthy, Clay is healthy, Draymond is healthy, Jordan Poole is healthy, they are showing why they were a dynasty. And yes, couple of those chips were with Kevin Durant, but nonetheless, the foundation and the core still there. And, they beat the reigning back-to-back MVP Nikola Jokic in 5 games. Now, credit, I don't think it was a big surprise to anyone considering the Denver Nuggets team, but still, talk about a feat. And then dispatching the Memphis Grizzlies, the fun and young Memphis Grizzlies, in 6 games. And it's sure be interesting. It's sure to be interesting because they can, when they start, they're basically the best shooting team left in the NBA playoffs. Arguably the best shooting team in the NBA. And it's going to be a tough order for the Mavericks. But, what I will say is with their bench, with Looney and unfortunately Gary Payne getting injured, but we'll have to see on his status. Andrew Wiggins, he's going to seems to be kind of stagnant. I think we can all figure he's been stagnant since the All-Star break, but when they get going, they get going. The Boston Celtics, they, Game 7, Sunday, taking apart the reigning champion Milwaukee Bucks. And Jason Tatum was fired. Grant Williams, 27 points. Marcus Smart shows why he's not only the defensive player of the year, but shows he can be very productive on offense. Jaylen Brown, anybody's watched the podcast over the last number of weeks will tell and will know that this Celtics team just keeps surprising me. It keeps getting better and better. And it's just been a joy to see. And I'm excited for this series between the Celtics and the Heat starting Tuesday. I just mentioned how deep the Heat are, but when you look at the Celtics, they're pretty well put together as well, not just starting roles, but their bench. You got Tatum, you got Brown, you got Smart, you got Grant Williams, who's filling in for Robert Williams pretty nicely. Daniel Tice, he's a big guy. Pritchard, he did well. Pritchard having, I think, 10, 11 points off the bench in the Bucks game. But, yeah, you got some interesting cats throughout the Celtics roster. And credit is where credit's due for Ime Udoka. I'm sure people were a bit skeptical when Brad Stevens went upstairs into the front office and Ime Udoka was appointed to be the new head coach. Ime Udoka, 4th place in the Coach of the Year voting. Not surprising. And this Celtics team is going to be. But as big as the Celtics were, what the Dallas Mavericks did in Phoenix to the Phoenix Suns, the 1-seeded Phoenix Suns, the only team that had more than 60 wins in the regular season. Those Phoenix Suns with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Jay Crowder,